Hello and shalom from my star in the galaxy and from Dr. Talia's star in the galaxy and our guest today, Rod Katucci. So I'm streaming live from Israel early this morning. Rod is in Boston midnight and he's pulling an all-nighter with us to talk with us today. And Dr. Talia Steed is my co-host today from Perth, Australia. I will say just a few words that Dr. Talia and I had this idea a few months ago to try to monthly or every 6 to 8 weeks meet with one of our Facebook communities or someone in the TMS world who was just really stuck, who has been on their journey, moving forward, but just stuck. That's the word we're using. And this is about our fourth one, and we've had some tremendous roundtable conversations offline and really helped someone, in person having this conversation. So if you're interested to join us at any point, reach out. And today I invited Rod to our little session. And first of all, to learn about Dr. Talia Steed, who's an author, holistic counselor, an amazing healer. You can read the bio below in the YouTube description, and you can reach out to her at any point to hear more about her latest book and how she helps people spiritually, emotionally, and physically on their journey. I met Rod through the Facebook community a few months ago. We had a few sessions, and he has an interesting case. It may not be the typical, migraine or tinnitus or chronic back pain. It's a bit more detailed, but it doesn't scare me or Dr. Talia at all that it can't improve or that these methods cannot help him. And so we're going to have a dialogue. We're going to ask Rod to speak a little bit about his journey and kind of give us the little short version, the details, and just where you're stuck. And then Dr. Talia and I will have a dialogue with you. And by the end of this conversation, I expect your angel wings to be flying and moving on your recovery. Because, Rod, you're a brilliant, sensitive man, but you're stubborn. I'm going to leave it at that.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you share with us and the listeners what's going on for you?
It's been a long journey of back pain for me. It began when I was very young in 1973, I believe, or 74. And I was diagnosed with a herniated disc at that time. I had what would have been, during these times, a very enlightened neurosurgeon who said he could operate right away on that, but he wanted to treat it conservatively, and we did. And within 6 weeks of just walking therapy, I was as good as new again. He diagnosed me with, at that time, there were no MRIs. He diagnosed me with a myelogram, and everything was fine. I continued with heavy work, etc. And my exercise, of course, I was trained as a physical education and nutrition and health teacher at Springfield College. And so I continued on with the heavy work I was doing at the time, and making it a little bit shorter, in 1999, I suffered another herniated disc. And this one was diagnosed also as a really severe herniated disc. Down here on Cape Cod, they wanted to operate right away, but I didn't feel right about it. Something inside me just said no. And I had heard about this doctor, Dr. Gerwin Neumann from New England Baptist Hospital, and I called his office and I explained what was going on. I explained that down here they were saying that I was probably going to lose continence and needed to operate on me that Friday. And I explained that to Dr. Gerwin's receptionist. She said it sounded like scare tactics. Could I be there in Boston the next morning at 9 o'clock? And I was, and my wife and I met with Dr. Neumann in his office, and he spent an hour with us. And he looked at my MRIs with us and he said, yes, I could operate today on that. It's a huge herniation, but it's too soon. He said, do this for me. He said, wait 6 weeks, do physical therapy for 6 weeks, and then we'll reassess after 6 weeks. Well, after 6 weeks of first of all, not being able to take more than 12 steps without having to sit down, after 6 weeks, I was walking the beach in the heavy sand with work boots on and not feeling any discomfort in my back at all. And so once again, the conservative treatment was great. And then probably around 2018, I was experiencing awkward gait and discomfort in my lower back again because I never stopped with my heavy workouts and work. I was also teaching yoga at the time, and I had another MRI, and it showed that I had severe spinal stenosis. And I went after the MRI. I saw my primary care physician, and he came rushing into the room where I was waiting with his nurse. They're both wide-eyed and said, "Mr. Cartosi, are you okay? How did you even get in here? Were you able to walk here on your own?" And I was like flabbergasted. I couldn't understand. I said, "Why are you asking me this?" And they said, "Because you have severe spinal stenosis. Your MRIs are atrocious." And I said, I really don't even feel much pain. I said, I'm here because I'm having a little bit awkwardness in my walking, and my balance is a little bit off. There's not really a lot of pain, never has been. Well, he referred me to another neurosurgeon down here on Cape Cod, and this neurosurgeon looked at it and said, yes, I was a definite candidate for surgery. But he said, you seem to be doing okay. Otherwise, I'm okay if you want to just, wait on that, and we'll monitor you. Well, and he monitored me. The situation seemed to get worse. And in 2022, I underwent a fusion surgery. He fused L2, L3, and L4, and he did a decompression on L4-5. And he told me that he was very happy with the outcome of the surgery. And I was okay doing physical therapy. I began it after 6 weeks, and I did the physical therapy. I followed all the instructions. I felt okay for a couple of months. But by April of 2023, which was only like 6 months later, my situation had become as bad or worse than it was before the surgery. And I just immediately thought I must have done something wrong. And it has continued in that same feeling since then. And it's 2025 now.
All of that being said, what now makes you feel that it's TMS or mind-body symptom?
Well, the way it happened was a dear friend was having issues with her back also, and she had just finished watching a podcast or a lecture with Dr. Sarno and had read his book and was convinced that her situation was probably the TMS that he described. If her personality was much like mine, the typical TMS personality, which is described.
So if I can interrupt.
Yes.
What elements of that TMS personality do you see in yourself, and what has changed, and what do you think is still remains?
Well, no, the personality hasn't changed a bit. I'm a perfectionist. I am a goodist. It means a lot to me that people like me. I am always as accommodating as I can be with my friends and others. That's always been very important to me. I am very meticulous. Those are the standout items of my personality.
Can I say something on that if you're open to it?
Sure, of course.
So my belief is that the body speaks to us It's like our soul trying to communicate to us because there's something out of balance in our life or something we have yet to learn, right? And you kind of answered that very, like it just came out of you. You said, like, in terms of the TMS personality type, nothing's changed. So I guess, we've just kind of very quickly got to one of the factors that brings you here today, as Tovah said, feeling stuck. If the symptoms come into our lives for a reason, and you're saying, well, nothing has changed my personality, which I'm sure some things actually have on the journey, do you see how that could be linked to the persistence of symptoms in your
Absolutely.
body?
Yes, I do.
Mm.
And I'm working with a behavioral therapist right now who's excellent. She's a actual godsend. And it has opened my eyes to what you're saying. And we're working on practicing, strategies, cognitive behavioral therapy strategies to, to change my thinking, to try not to catastrophize all the time, and also to recognize the things that you just mentioned, where I'm not changing much from that personality, and trying to effect a change with practice.
Yeah.
The I went back. I have made some progress. Being a yoga teacher now for 23 years, I taught yoga on the beach and in the studio for many years. And the last few years, I've only taught on the beach. But last year, I only taught one class because I just couldn't. And my neurosurgeon said that the reason is because of these bulging discs that I still have in my back, above and below the fusion. And he said the only way to treat that is to extend the fusion up and down. And when he said that, I just said, no, thank you. And so, but this year I've already taught 6 or 7 yoga classes on the beach. It has been a struggle. I'm only doing ground poses with my students. I haven't done any standing poses because of my balance, but I'm heartened by the fact that I'm able to do that, and I can tend to continue until yoga is over for this summer after Labor Day. So there is a little bit of progress there, but with Kelly, my therapist, and God bless you, Doc Tovah, you have been a real bright spot in my life the last few months. I just can't thank you enough.
My pleasure. I just, it's so maybe I think I'm going to ask Dr. Talia. I mean, you're smart, you're sensitive, you understand your mind body, but there's some disconnect, and maybe it is the spirit, Dr. Talia. Maybe there's something like I see Rod as a stubborn. I see him on Facebook. He's a bit of a charlatan. He's a bit angry. He's always kind of out there politically with this or that, and I'm not going to mention that, but he's got some. And we talked about his anger. And I don't know if you're angry at the doctors, if you're angry at your spine,
No,
if
I'm
you're angry
not.
at your disc.
I'm not really. My big issue is that I had a lot of training in medical issues. Being a physical education teacher and a yoga teacher and a nutrition specialist, I studied a lot of anatomy and physiology. My whole family is full of nurses. And it was a conventional medical model that has been ingrained into my thinking and my beliefs all my life. And I think that's where I'm stuck. Every time I get a flare up, I immediately go there, and I begin to doubt that TMS theory.
Which is so normal as well. We have to say, it's so when symptoms set in and the amygdala and the fear centers firing, it's so normal for all of us to go, oh my God, if there's something wrong. And that's when all the, I guess, skills you're learning with your behavioral therapist would come in, not to catastrophize and downregulate your fear response. But I guess also with hearing you and Dr. Tovah, what you've said, that what's coming to mind is that, like, you know the information and you're starting on that journey of shifting some of the personality factors, but you've said just how strong that conditioned medical model is in your being.
It
And I
is.
guess
Yes.
what's tricky with working with these things is there's our conscious mind. We want to heal, we believe the things, but then there's everything subconscious at play. And if deep down we're thinking, well, actually, like, we still believe the medical model, it's very hard to make those conscious shifts, if you like, because the subconscious is ruling the show. So then we have to find ways to almost tap into the subconscious, illuminate what's really at play, what's really holding us back, to then be able to implement more. Does any of that resonate for you?
Absolutely. And you know, I really do want to tap into that if I can. And, you know, I've had just tiny bits of success in that. I'm hoping that with persistence and practice and time that I'll be able to get better at it. But then there's the other fear factor. I mean, I'll be 79 years old in a couple of weeks. And I'm saying, well, how much time do I have before this is going to happen for me? And, you know, so now I'm looking at it with a time perspective, which you're not supposed to do. I understand. So,
yeah. And that also creates a lot of pressure, because if there's a lot of pressure on yourself, oh my gosh, time is running out.
Yeah.
If that's the driving story, then pressure is one of the biggest factors that drives TMS symptoms.
I
It's
feel
just
the
like
pressure.
perfection.
You're right.
You feel the pressure.
I do. Absolutely.
So some of your work now lies in how can you teach yourself to let go of the pressure? And that's going to be a very individual journey. But I guess maybe, as Dr. Tovah mentioned, the element that's missing is of the soul. And perhaps it's time, you know, you could consider whether you go down that track or subconscious or whatever resonates more for you. Because I guess from where I'm sitting, I see that whatever comes into our life at any stage is part of the divine, I guess, purpose for our life in that moment.
I agree.
Some things we are meant to overcome, in inverted commas, because we might never, you know, people die every day of different conditions and things like that. It doesn't mean they haven't healed, because our construct of what healed means, healing for one person might be the acceptance of living with a chronic symptom. Okay. Healing for another person might be no more symptom. But in the end, if we have awakened to what we needed to awaken in our soul through our own experience, that is the healing. The healing isn't actually being symptom-free or not. It's a peace or a contentment beyond what is playing out in the physical body. Does any of that resonate?
It does. And I understand that. And, you know, I'm just, again, I'm hoping for more than that. I look at myself and I say, you know, I'm in very, very good physical condition. And I say to myself, you know, this really isn't you. Rod, I see myself and I say that you should not be feeling physically this way.
So do you see that there is a resistance to what is in your being? Like, you've done your yoga teacher training.
Yes.
There's a resistance.
There is.
And whatever we resist in this life, what happens to it?
It magnifies.
It magnifies.
And I want to say something. You know, there's a concept here in Israel, like, you know, the Mashiach is coming. The Mashiach is coming, and a lot of times we say the Mashiach is already here, because it's a relative point of reference. And what I want to say to you, Rod, is what if you're already there? Not that you have to accept your reality, but do you realize the brain reacts and the brain responds really positively to acceptance and awareness? And what if you were like, I am there. I am 79 and riding this wave I may not be so comfortable. I may not be so happy with what I feel, but I'm in great physical shape. I'm with my wife, the love of my life. I know you're in a really healthy relationship with your wife.
Yes.
I have this, this, and this. I'm very grateful. What if that was the intention every day? And you worked on that highway and built that Norris circuit. I mean, what is that? What do you think? Is that possible for you?
I believe it is. Again, what I think this all boils down to is that I need to be more patient instead of putting a time limit on any type of quote unquote recovery.
Mm.
And yes, accept that this is the way things are at the moment. But I'm reluctant to do that because if I accept that, then I'm just saying, well, this is it for me. It's not
And
gonna.
that's the common fear, right? That's you've described a process that goes through. We're all connected. Your thought processes. I mean, I'm sure this is going to be very valuable for many people because we all carry that. You know, if I accept this, is this really it? Is this how it's always going to be? Then the fear, is this my life? But what we don't realize is that if we're really here to awaken, we're here to learn certain lessons. So what lesson might this whole experience be trying to teach? Well, from what you've said, acceptance, patience, taking the pressure off, those are just 3 that have surfaced in this short time together. So your better option, because if we're really going with TMS, and if it's trying to show you something, the more you seek to cultivate those 3, even though it can feel like that's a longer process, can I really change my personality? You're more likely to heal from the symptoms you're not wanting because they're there to show you that patience, acceptance, and taking the pressure off yourself are your gateways to healing what you don't want in your life. So if you can kind of reframe it to go, okay, this is what I have to do to get the outcome I want, it might be easier for you to work on them, realizing that those 3 are your kind of gateway to being symptom free. So how does that sound for
No,
you?
and that sounds it sounds so true to me, and I need to be able to trust that. It you know, when Dan Buglio speaks of safety, there's safety in what you just said. And I think that if I can just, as you say, cultivate those 3 things, that instead of putting this immense amount of pressure on myself, that my body might be more open to healing, and the sort of easing of the symptoms.
Yeah.
Because
your body is just flagging to you, but still, you say, oh, why 79? I'm still going through this. Well, because those things are the same. Like, and it's no disrespect to you. We're all going through certain things that are recurring. They are soul lessons, and some things will take a lifetime. But imagine if you just even make a dent in cultivating true acceptance, true patience, true taking the pressure off yourself. Well, then you've done what you needed to do in this lifetime. Those are big things. They're far more powerful than whether or not there's still a few symptoms there or what you achieved in the external world. If you flip the switch to what really matters, those might be your key gateway to and you might get that. Like, as we know, these symptoms can be gone in an instant. Right?
Yes, and I've read and seen and listened to podcasts where that very thing has happened to people, and even with conditions similar to mine and even worse than mine. And I'm saying to myself, if this can happen for them, it can happen for me too. And I believe that. I truly believe that, and I want that. And I'm saying to myself right now, after listening to you, the key to it is that sort of feeling and thinking that you describe. I see that. I'm not good at it yet.
And that's okay. That's okay. Then your next right move. You know, Oprah says the next right move. That's your next right move.
And
You've got
guess
it.
what? You've been able to, you have that behavior in you. You're that way with other people. You're a teacher.
Yes.
You've accomplished that. You've been on that pathway. Just there's this interesting thing, Dr. Talia, when we're, how do we do that with ourselves? It's such an interesting, like, you know, I've talked to the smartest psychologists, like doctors of psychology, and these brilliant ISTDP people, and these Dr. Abbas and these brilliant doctors. And I'm like, how do we love ourselves? How do we take care of ourselves? How do we be compassionate? I'm waiting for some big, heavy answer. And you know what they say to me? Like you love a baby, or like you love a puppy. And I'm like, is that all you got for me? They're like, yeah, this is it. This is the answer. And I'm like, so we know how to do that. But Dr. Talia, why is self-love and self-compassion an interesting challenge for so many of us?
Yeah, because it's harder. It's harder. It's probably why, and we have to go there. Like we're human beings. We have an ego and we have a soul, and often we are so focused on being of service and helping others when we can't do it for ourselves. And then when we start to do it for ourselves more and more, we become better at being boundaried. We become better at knowing when we don't have the reserves to help other people. And we start to put ourselves first, not in a not caring about other people way, but in a way that we're not neglecting the self. That is the journey for all of us to come into this world, to learn self-love, self-compassion, and, you know, to see that being a nice, good person is part of that, but never at the expense of neglecting ourselves.
Yeah, but you know, I'm listening to that, and it does resonate. And I'm just thinking about, you know, Dr. Sarno's words of, you know, the repressed anger, the repressed emotions, and how they can manifest themselves in physical symptoms. And I'm wondering where that fits in to my situation or people like me. You know, you know, I worked with Nicole Sachs' course. I took her course. I did the journaling religiously. I think I've covered just about everything in my childhood that could be causing issues.
But you see, it's interesting, right? So this is the intellectual human mind. We just got to 3 big things that are huge, right? But the mind wants more. It's like, what are all the pieces? And I want to know, and I want to figure it out. And what about the repressed emotions? But we just said love, like not love. That was the second part. But acceptance, taking the pressure off. And what was the third thing we said before? Can one of you remind me?
Acceptance, taking the pressure off, and wait a second. Acceptance, taking the pressure off, and
there was a third one.
Yes,
I think
there was a third
we can
one.
watch that. Then we can watch it back. We all need to. But
I'm so in the moment with you right now.
Yes.
Me too. But my point is that our brains want more. Our ego minds want more. And you've just said, I've done all the childhood work. I've done the journaling work. And you've got your 3 things if you watch back this thing. So now it's time to just focus on that. Take the pressure off working out all the answers and sitting with there's so much we will never know. We don't need to know it all. As Dan Buglio does say, sometimes, you know, all of that is enough. We have to know when to dip into that and when to dip out of that. And if you've got those 3 big key things that you're saying I haven't yet mastered, isn't that enough? Isn't that enough?
Yes.
Why go digging for what's my repressed emotion? And I need to, like, all of us are very intelligent. I notice this in the TMS world. We want to put all the information together. We want to work it out exactly.
Yes.
We're living from here. Now, we've just come to 3 big things that likely are the 3 things that will shift your TMS symptoms because they're the hardest. So whenever you notice your mind going off into what else and how can I fix this faster, then just go, oh yes, that's that pattern. Just start to recognize. That's what awareness, sitting back, witness self. Oh yes, that's my mind. It wants all the answers right now. It wants to fix. And just start to bring in that awareness of that pattern, and then come back to those other three that you're currently being called to master.
Yes, I get that, but when Doc and I were messengering back and forth yesterday and today, it came to my mind that it seemed to me that a big significant part of my stuckness is going back to that conventional medical model again, that that I can't seem to be, when Dr. Sarno describes that conditions like mine don't cause physical pain, or the symptoms, associated symptoms that I seem to suffer from, that, and I look at myself and I'm saying, well, I'm suffering from those. Is it because I don't really accept his theory?
What do you think?
I
Do you
believe
accept?
I believe that that's the case. I'm not 100% all in, and with that missing part, that I'm not all the way there, I feel like I'm stuck.
So what might you need to cultivate for yourself as you slowly integrate that
trust
it's not...
is one thing I need to cultivate. I need to trust that these people that I listen to and recovery stories, they're not lying. They're absolutely telling the truth. And trust that it can happen for me too. And trust that Dr. Sarno is correct and was correct all those years, that he was a savant when it comes to...
But also accepting your resistance.
Yes,
we had acceptance,
Yeah.
and we had acceptance and patience in there. We couldn't remember the third.
Yeah.
But accepting that there's resistance, and pressure. It was acceptance, taking the pressure off, and patience. And so I think accepting even your resistance, taking the pressure off not being resistant. Do you see what I'm saying? And being patient. So even your relationship with the fact that you have some doubts, being okay with that, not putting pressure on yourself not to have any doubts. Do you see how even that is coming back to those three main lessons?
Yes, and listening to you and hearing that again, I can honestly say that I feel a sense of more confidence that this can happen for me by doing what you're saying.
Yeah, because do you see how it comes up into your process, whatever the situation is? So you can almost see your relationship with the doubt as a way to practice these three things. To give yourself permission to have doubt. I've had experienced so much doubt on my journey. Same like you. Like every time I get this huge surfacing of reflux, it's like, oh my gosh, surely there must be something there, because this is so out of this world.
Right.
And it's being okay with that. It's like, well, maybe there is. Today, maybe I think that there could be, and let's give it a week or two. And if I still, sometimes I've even booked an endoscopy because there's actually been that much doubt.
Yeah.
And then I just give it time and then go, oh, actually, it's probably 99% TMS. Maybe there's a tiny bit of inflammation, but what's the point of having an endoscopy to tell me that when it's still 99% TMS?
You're echoing my thoughts exactly. I say to myself now and then, maybe I better go get another x-ray. Maybe I should go and get one more MRI just to be sure that nothing. And you just said it again. No. And then I say to myself, no, it's not necessary. That whole area in your spine has healed from the surgery. It's what's going on is not going to be discovered by another imaging.
So when that process starts to come up next time, and it will, instead you could be like, oh yes, this is my resistance. How can I be with my resistance? How can I accept that it's showing up, because it does for everyone with these symptoms? How can I accept that I'm in fear? And what could I do to go, maybe even defer it, to go, okay, if I still feel this doubt in 2 weeks, then I'll go and have another scan, to kind of almost work with your resistance. If we put pressure, again, it comes back to that pressure. If we put pressure on ourselves to be where we're not, to not feel resistance, the resistance grows.
Exactly.
So it comes back to the same thing. We're also perfectionistic and we're so like trying hard, but we have to soften. And that's one of the lessons with it, taking the pressure off. You can have your resistance.
When I have thoughts,
I want to interrupt.
Sure.
And go into a little bit of some basic, neuroplastic or pain reprocessing therapy, or just TMS. So you've mentioned a number of things, and there is a core feeling driving your amygdala, causing your fight and flight, keeping you a little bit living in threat mode. You live a little bit in threat physiology, as Dr. Hanskin calls it. And it's okay. We go in and out of safety threat. The question is to be moving, to be in motion. But if we get stuck in threat mode, so what is the deeper feeling driving your resistance, driving your impatience? Like, would it be fear, anger, sadness? Are you fearing your mortality? Like, maybe there's a little bit of deeper work, and then you can go into the spirit.
You just said it. I'm fearing my mortality, absolutely. And there is anger there, because I say to myself, I should not be feeling this way. This is not rod cartosi. It's not. And so there's my anger coming. But then as I was listening to Dr. Talia, a picture in my mind came that I sit so often and I catch myself clenching my jaw because I am so perturbed and so anxious about this whole symptom thing. And then just as she was speaking a few minutes ago, I pictured myself doing those three things and sitting there more relieved.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I pictured myself doing that. And if I can perhaps picture myself doing that more often, maybe it'll persist. Maybe it'll last. Maybe that will become my reality, rather than this clenched jaw type of feeling that I seem to have so often and so persistently.
And you can become a better version of Rod, a version of Rod that's patient with himself, loving and kind, accepting. That's not a loss, that's only a gain. So the ego is stuck in a fixed concept of self. But maybe there's a deeper version that's more all of these things, and that's a beautiful version.
And that's what that's what I'm hoping. And you're echoing also things that my Kelly, my behavioral therapist, says also. I mean, as I listen to both of you, more and more, I'm grateful for her, because she is on our page. She really is. I'm so happy that I chose her and that we got together. So, and there's another thing, the universe lining up to bring her to my life. And Doc, you, and you also, Dr. Steed.
It kind of reminds me of, the Wizard of Oz. I mean, like, you've never really been lost. You've always been like, home has always been there for you. And each time you notice that clenched jaw, or you get that pissiness about you, you could be, oh, thank you, universe. I need you to lead me down that yellow brick road. And so what would it look like if you broke the habit slowly, which you've been doing? You've been very successful on your journey. I really want to honor that. But what would it look like for you to break the habit of being yourself and evolve? We're not changing Rod. None of us are changing you, but
I get
to break the habit of being yourself and evolve to a Rod that you need right now to go into your 80s and 90s coasting? What would that look like?
What it would look like is that I would be a lot more relaxed than I am now. I would take a lot more joy out of my days than I do right now. I would have more confidence doing the things that I want to do and used to be able to do, even if I have to do them slower, at a slower pace. That I could still take joy from doing them and not be angry that I can't do them as well as I did before. That's what it would look like. And that's probably what it's going to look like. If I keep progressing, as you say, and you know, and there's really no if about it. I'm confident that I can do this.
You can, yeah.
I am confident I can do this. But and again, you know, as you know from talking to me, that I still am fearful, a bit fearful, and I do have occasional moments of severe doubt, but I am better at letting those go by without
And you know what?
acting.
We all, as human beings, we all have fear. We all have doubt. You don't have to be free of those things to be free of symptoms. And it's also taking that pressure off. Like, what human being, if they really explore themselves, doesn't have fear? So I think it's also being able to sit with the fact that some of these are universal feelings and not expecting yourself to be rid of states that are very human as well.
And-
you know, there's different parts, you know. Even Dan talks about how we don't have to be rid of fear. Of course, we need to reassure ourselves when we're in an anxiety spiral about symptoms, but that's very different to holding some deep fears in our lives. Like, you know, that they're just two quite different things. Safety is always important if we're fearing the symptoms and like wanting to do the tests, and we do need to calm ourselves down. But deep fears that come up with being a human and of loss and all these things, that's normal. And it's to accept even our fears and not have pressure to be rid of fear to be symptom free.
Right. In other words,
it's not going to happen.
It's okay to be fearful at times.
It's okay.
And
Yes.
not
And
get
who
mad at
isn't?
myself for being fearful
Yeah.
or despair about
Yeah.
being fearful.
And and acceptance of the emotions, that we are emotional beings and we have big emotions and they're all okay. It's not the emotions that cause the symptoms. It's our fear or denial or pushing them away that causes the symptoms.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rod, I want, you know, like you have the PRT workbook, and I love, look, you have a relationship with your symptoms that can be conflictual, you know, like, oh shit, you're here again.
Yes.
Oh no, you know, like, or I'm sitting on the beach doing yoga at night. I'm like, I wish I could be standing. I mean, like, I recommend you go to do the yoga and you use a cane and you stand up. I mean, I would be very happy with my teacher being authentic with where he, you know. And the thing I want to say is you've done so much. You've come so far. And I think that frustrates you that you've, as a nutritionist and a fitness teacher and a yoga teacher, it's like, why can't I get this one? Well, this is your great wake up call. But isn't it fascinating? Because we meet some yoga teachers in this field that you learn so much about being, and because you're doers, you're heavy duty doers. And if you can move into that being with your symptoms and unconditional acceptance and unconditional love, and like loving what is, or what this author's book is called, Whatever Arises, Love That.
But
you know,
also
like,
when you don't love it, because I mean, I know from having these physical things show up in your body, it is a very grueling experience at times. And I think it's good to honor that, but to honor that from within, from within the self. For me personally, where I'm at on my journey is focusing on a lot of self-validation. And only we know some of the struggles and challenges we've endured, and to really also acknowledge just how frustrating and difficult they can be. That is also important. We're not always going to be in a state of, I love the symptom, when you're feeling awful inside and you're frustrated and you're a perfectionist and you've tried and you wanted to fix. We're going to be feeling mad, and that's okay too. And then in the next moment, we go, okay, you felt that mad. And now how can I accept it? So it's really to honor what is moving through us in each and every moment, and not trying to force a love when there's not a love, but trying to come back to love.
I definitely, I definitely agree with that. And, that is difficult, but I can see how important it is. Otherwise, you're not really being true to yourself.
Yeah.
That's important to me too, to be truthful to myself. Otherwise, who am I? I'll be nothing but playing a role.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that.
And also in Dr. Talia's book, The Wisdom of the Body.
My first book, Body Wisdom. But I think that my second book, where I don't have it here, Choosing the Witness Self, you can look on the internet. It would be perfect for all of these things that we're talking about, because choosing the witness self, and the second part of it is illuminating the illusions of the ego mind. Our ego minds is where all the TMS symptoms kind of get driven by. And choosing the witness self is choosing that part of us that watches all, that can be with whatever is there, and kind of working with that ego mind. We have to almost walk hand in hand with our ego mind. We can't push it. We can't force it away. It just grows, like we've said. Choosing the witness self is just sitting back into that acceptance of whatever plays out in body, mind, or heart, and just being there for ourselves and wholeheartedly loving and accepting where we're at.
Just being an observer of,
of the experience,
and accepting the actual scene in front of you, and understanding it.
And we don't have to like it always.
No,
that is also okay. We don't have to like it, right? And even accepting that we don't like something is finding acceptance. We're entitled to be pissed off. We're entitled to hate something in a moment, and then to allow that to move through, to then release, and then go into the next. As I said before, the emotions aren't the problem. It's our denial that we can't have those feelings. And interestingly, you mentioned about Sano's stuff, and we moved away from that. But that's kind of like the repression part, not allowing yourself to feel what you feel and judging yourself when you feel fear, frustrated, sad. That's the repression part. So then we're not fully allowing ourselves to feel mad or feel those feelings are okay. We don't have to berate ourselves for feeling.
And I would add shame and guilt to that also.
Shame, guilt,
and those seem to be significant in my mind.
Honor that and feel it. Allow yourself to go there. Don't think that those are causing the symptoms. It's the not feeling it that's causing the symptoms.
Oh my gosh. No, seriously,
and don't be hard on yourself that you have to just keep learning the same lessons, because that's your soul journey. That's your tikkun or your karma. Don't this is it's a beautiful
it is. Even with the short time we've been together here this morning, I feel, honestly, like weight has been relieved off my chest.
It's beautiful.
I always experience a tightness right here, and it's because and the clenched jaw, because of the symptoms that I experience, and not being able to look at them the way you described, Dr. Steed, and what you said also, Dr. Tovah. If I look at them the way you just described it, I feel relief. I do. And I just got to maintain that. I've got to persist in that. I've got to practice it more and more and more, and remind myself.
And now you're lucky we've recorded this. So when the doubt comes back, you just
Well,
rewatch this video.
I
yeah,
mean,
I
let's
will
just
be.
call the
Definitely
facts. I
will
mean,
be.
Dr. Talia has a medical degree. I mean, like, the facts are, we have this lizard brain. It's protecting us all the time. There's 1,000 thoughts a day. 999 are repetitive. 999, 8 of them are negative. This is the lizard brain. Your body's is an incredibly strong, brilliant brain that protects you. Wow. With lots of inflammation. Amazing. It comes to your rescue all the time. So you need to talk to your brain even
Exactly.
more, and have your brain listen to this recording
And
and say, brain,
you know,
let's have a conversation about this on the beach tomorrow.
oh, really? No, and it brings me back to the interview Dr. Steed had with Dan Buglio about how medicine needs to change. How,
Oh yeah.
you know, this stuff is so true, but it's just in its infancy and being accepted, and it could help so many more people if it was more accepted as truth. Instead
And that's what we're all doing right now. So this,
right.
thank you so much for sharing, because your processes that you've described are what's in one is in the whole. You know, everyone who goes through these TMS mind-body journeys, we all experience the same things, and you're helping people right now by being willing to be vulnerable and share your story. So
I hope
thank
so.
you.
I truly hope so, because this has been very helpful to me, and I'm very grateful to both of you for this. I looked forward to it, and and I'm so happy that this has been the outcome.
Yeah. Well, there's more. Look, we're all in our journey. So thank you for sharing with us, because Dr. Talia and myself, we're not immune.
Oh,
So thank you
my
for
pleasure.
sharing us. And, any last quick question to Dr. Talia?
No, but it would be nice if you were available to speak to in the future, somehow, communication, and of course, Doc, I'm definitely, going to hound you.
Yeah, you can keep communicating to me, but every couple of weeks when you say to me on the messenger, do you think we should look at my MRI again? And I just ignore you.
Yeah.
Don't take it personal.
You can put a link to this video.
First of all, you can reach out to Dr. Talia. She has a practice. I mean, you might want to meet with her a little bit.
That's what I mean. Yes.
And evolve, because this is a new chapter. Like I said to you last night this is a new chapter. Our past brought you to here. So we're not looking back. We're not erasing anything. It's all part of this amazing journey. And your journey has been really amazing. I mean, I'm really happy that I asked you to come here and really have this conversation. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but because there are so many people still with the back and the surgery and this and that. And I referred them to Dr. Hanscom's website about, surgery. Like, you've been through a lot, Rod. And we haven't even talked about your little boy, the little boy in you, the compassion and love for what you've been through and what you've passed. And that's your strength. That's your absolute strength of character to continue on till 90, till 120. So we'll meet again. We'll all meet again. And I really, I'm excited this will be on the YouTube channel, and you can share it with people. You can contact Dr. Talia. Anyone who has a question can reach out to Dr. Talia, myself, Rod. We're in the community. Dr. Talia is on my page on Facebook. So I am blessed once again to start my day. Rod, go to sleep and have a good sleep. Dr. Talia, have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
be up for a while yet, because I'm going to just enjoy the afterglow of this meeting right now.
No, that's
But luckily,
very
you have
nice.
your yoga to put you to sleep at some
I
point.
do. You're right. Absolutely.
All the best. God bless.
Same to you.
Thank you.